Welcome to the Wholeness and Wellness podcast. I'm your host, Megan Tubes, founder of Libra Living Wellness Limited. And this is episode 15, Intuitive Inner Child, Reconnecting with Your Inner Child, Healing Within, and Returning to Your Truest Self. And we have a returning guest today, Renee Arseneau. Welcome, Renee.
Hello, thank you for having me again.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm very excited about this episode. Um, I've been wanting to do an episode on like inner child work because that's been something I've been kind of doing myself over the past really, excuse me, few years. So it's something that's really important to me because like when I think of inner child, like I kind of think of two parts of being like an inner child. One where it like holds like all our traumas, our fears and limiting beliefs, but then also holds like just our truest self, like our natural self of where, we feel joy and there's kind of also no limitations, right? Like I just feel like there's kind of two sides to it. So yeah, maybe we'll dive into that a little bit. But yeah, excited. Thanks again, Renee, for coming on. So yeah, let's kind of dive further into that and kind of like the roots of our inner child. Like what's kind of your take on that?
Yeah. Um, so I think I agree with your point. Like, I think uh, for me, like when I think of my inner child, like I don't necessarily think of like trauma or like fears. Like instantly, I think like happy, joyful, like no worries. Like, yes, they have like, my daughter, for example, she's like, I had a nightmare, there was a monster, like things like that. But
Yeah.
like otherwise, like I see her like, just playing and being herself. And I'm like, there is no worry in that brain at all. Like she's
Mm.
also no fear of like, um hurting yourself. Like she's just it's everything is an experience, everything is about being curious, and it's everything is like wonderful because the tiniest thing that for us now is like so simple, she
Mhm.
looks at it and she's like in awe, like she's amazed. So it's been really a great experience for me, not only to um see her doing that, but also as a reminder of like, you used to appreciate the
Mhm.
smallest things in life. Like, where did that stop along the
Yeah.
way, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I think inner child is definitely something that everyone should look into. Everyone should try and figure out, who was I before society told me to change, before reality hit and I became an adult and I had all these responsibilities. Because often if we feel empty and unfulfilled, it's probably because we're um not doing the things that really are in alignment
Yeah.
and are who we are essentially at the base, at the core.
Yeah. I like that you said that because excuse me, I recently kind of had some clarity of what kind of my truest self wants to be doing. Like I've been
Mm.
kind of following that this past year with, be starting my own business, but just kept getting clearer and clearer what I want from it. And again, that kind of alignment, what brings me joy. And again, it's kind of, I love to look at it like that. Like you said, like our inner child is it knows just that true happiness or joy,
Yeah.
without all those kind of limitations from that we kind of later do put on ourselves too. So yeah, I really I really like that point of it for sure.
Yeah.
um and kind of going on that, there's that like kind of I kind of talked to the point of like intuition, like inner knowing too. Like I'm trying to think, like emotional truth, how um we're kind of in tuned with ourselves. Like I do find like when I do inner child work, I become more in tuned with myself and what sometimes my inner critic is saying, like kind of trying to, and that could maybe be like the other side of it too, where we have our inner child who, wants to do things that bring joy. And then we have our inner critic saying, oh, well, you can't do that, you know, and putting those limitations. But again, it's also, and I hope I'm making sense here because I got all kinds of thoughts going in my brain, but as we kind of go into adulthood, then we start having things happen, or society kind of puts sort of, I guess, limitations for us, and then we move away from inner child that little inner child. And it's kind of sad. Like when you were talking at the beginning, I started getting emotional because I was like, I had goosebumps when you said, oh, you're looking at your daughter, she just seeps pure happiness,
Yeah.
like nothing phases, like it's just kind of like almost like a freedom in that too, right? So,
Yeah, it is freedom. And, there was a point in my life where I had completely shut down like all the things that used to make me happy, without really even realizing it. Like I was just, I graduated from university. I met my partner at the time, got into like a serious relationship, and I was like, just being new to like this adult life, not really knowing like what do I want as an adult? Like what is this new phase of my life looking like? And so I kind of like let him lead the way and like basically suggest you should be doing this or we should be doing that. And so I just went with it. And I, like over time, like 8 years later, I was like, I'm not happy. Like, this is not who I am. And I've been pushing myself aside for so long. And let me tell you, you will know if that's the case because there's going to be signs like you're going to be, like you said, like your intuition, your gut feeling, like you're going to be hearing whispers basically every single day until one day it's like so loud that you don't have a choice but to listen to it. And that's really what happened to me. Like I had completely let go of all the things that made me happy. And I got to a point where I was like, that's it. Like I can't do this anymore. Like this is not my life. And it was just so tiring. Very liberating to go back to that inner child, go back to that person, that young version of you, and say like I'm here now. Like what's what's the plan? Like let's reconnect. Let's, it just feels, it really feels like home, honestly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I so I guess two things, like when I do inner child healing, or like a lot of times I do a guided meditation for it, and
Mhm.
it's specifically inner child. Like they're like, they say, okay, imagine, or what age um is your inner child, and it could be like from a baby to like right before how old I am now.
Yeah.
So it kind of just lets it do it for you, but you like picture them walking with you, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And a lot of times when I'm just doing other meditations, I always kind of envision my inner child, my version of me now, and then my like version of me and kind of in the future, or like, highest self me without, you know, letting all the limitations weigh on me, right? And I always find that just so kind of powerful, again, connecting with that inner
Mhm.
child. And I feel like a lot of people don't really like know about it. Like or maybe they don't understand it, right? Like I even try to use like inner child, like when I'm like, if like even my partner, like let's say he gets upset about something, I kind of like try to think, okay, what's happening with his inner child? Like something is right.
Mhm.
So, um, and I think I might have read that somewhere, like they mentioning like try to envision that person's inner child, right? Because it kind of gives you like a different perspective of what may be happening inside as well, right?
Right.
So, and because I think of that too, like when, of course, like when we react in like not the best way sometimes, I always think, okay, obviously there's something else going on. There's some stress happening. Um, but now I lost my train of thought. But just kind of, I was trying to get to the point where like kind of our inner child protects us sometimes, or is trying to, you know, um, protect us in a certain way. Um, that maybe worked for us in the past, but now as an adult doesn't really work. I was trying to
Mhm.
bring that in, and I don't know if maybe you can help me
Yeah,
with that.
I think I know what you mean. So
Okay.
to my point earlier, like I think a child has this like innocence where they're not really aware of, they're just experiencing life. They're just being curious. If they're in a safe environment, of course, um
Yeah.
they'll just like see everything as like fun and joyful and beautiful. But I do think that there is traumas that you can bring in your adult life from your childhood that probably at that point, if you were really young, you didn't really realize that you know that was happening.
Yeah.
And an example of that could be like, in your present relationship, if you're constantly scared of giving yourself to someone, if you're scared of commitment, if you're,
Mhm.
always kind of like push and pull, like you're one foot in, one foot out. Well, maybe it's because in your household, your love was very much conditional.
Mhm.
Like, you know, you did great at school on your test. Oh my god, you're amazing, I love you. And then the next minute maybe it's like, oh, you didn't clean your room, you're the worst kid ever. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
you were used to like kind of not always being loved, and so that's kind of how you are in your adult relationship. So there's all these like different dynamics that I think
Mm.
is definitely worth exploring, your childhood and how you were brought up, and just um all of the things that made you you today. Because some people, to your point, don't really know about inner child. They don't really know
Mhm.
about, oh, maybe I should look into my past, maybe I should look into growing up. We often think that like trauma needs to be something major, like,
Mhm.
something very dramatic. But there's like trauma that are extremely, it seems very simple, but they do still have a big impact in your adult life.
Yeah.
And so I think having that self-awareness to be like curious enough to explore why you're reacting certain ways.
Mhm.
And to your point, some people never even question um how they are, and they just, that's how their life is
Yeah.
forever. But then there's you and I, and hopefully people that we influence, that we're like, you know what, let's give you a different perspective, and let's work on that self-awareness so that you can
Mhm.
recognize your patterns, and you can um basically become the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like I like I think of like limiting beliefs and how, like you said, like it doesn't have to be big traumas, but we can have little traumas that have happened. Or I just think of being around people when you're younger and taking on their beliefs, with us, right? So
Mm,
we then bring those with us into adulthood, and those beliefs from, like, let's say our parents, or it could be like, another relative, they don't serve us in adulthood. Like, we kind of have to learn, okay, what we took in from a child, and then say, okay, this is not good for us, so I need to do something better, or I need to change this limiting belief that I have so that I can, yeah, be, a better person, or be the best version of myself. So
mm,
I, kind
mhm,
of going back to when I was saying, like, I think of that inner child having those fears. I think of that in the sense of just having things from our childhood, like, what you were talking about, kind of bringing those things into adulthood. And then for us to have that awareness to work through those things and know that they're not serving us in the best way now.
mm, mhm.
Right? It may have served us in a certain way when we were younger, like as a protection, or again, taking those things on from adults in our environment at the time. But then
Yeah.
as we move on, we have to kind of, be aware and say, okay, well, these aren't working for us. I need to do something that works for me,
Mm.
and have the best life that it can have.
Yeah, I think we feel some sort of like, I don't know if it's like obligation or if we just think that because we were brought up a certain way that we need to um raise our kids in that same way and kind of have that same mindset. Like I know for me, like I grew up and like it was always about like the image, like anything that we would do. Like I remember like my mom saying like, oh my God, like, don't do that. Like, so and so are going to say something, or what are people going to think if you do this, or if we, whatever. And so I always had that in the back of my mind that like external validation is more important than my own, basically. And I really carried that for so many years until like maybe 5 6 years ago. um I was going through that big transition in my life, getting through a divorce, um um quitting my full-time corporate job as a senior manager, as a CPA. It was just a lot of things that got a lot of eyes on me, and I'm sure a lot of people had opinions and judgment. And so the old me would have been like terrified of like what are people going to say. But I decided at that point in my life, am I just really going to stay in this relationship, and am I just really going to stay in this career, in this job, because of what everyone around me thinks of it? Like I'm physically going to go to work every day not feeling joy, not feeling fulfilled, because I'm scared of what someone out there might say if I actually quit.
Mhm.
And so I was just like, I'm done. Like, I was done in that moment being like the people pleaser and just, you know, being that person that is so scared of what people would think. And I remember like writing down, like, I'm I'm taking my own decisions. Like the most important person in my life is me, and the only decision that truly matters is mine. Like rewrite your values. Like I always say that to my clients, like you can choose differently. Like you can choose differently. Like if something that you were brought up, thinking your entire life, it doesn't matter if you've been thinking this for 25 years. The length of time does not matter. You can still choose to say, you know what, moving forward, this no longer aligns with the person that I want to be and just rewrite a new value, like rewrite your new truth. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. When you were talking, I was thinking, I was like, I feel like there's this constant battle, and I feel like as an adult and like just now the past few years I've been more aware of this, but there I feel like there's this inner battle between our inner child and our inner critic. I feel like it's happening all the time where our inner child is like, "Oh, I want to do this. I this brings me joy." And then our inner critic is like, "You can't do that. Other people are better at you than that. You don't have the skills to do that." Like just always like kind of this, I don't know, I thought of this recently too and I forgot to mention it, but I was like, I feel that way a lot because, my true self, that inner child version is like, oh, I'm so excited to do this. But then we have those voices in our head, those inner critics saying, oh, well, what if I can't do it? What if I, you know, and to me, that is, there's like tapping in to our inner child really helps to kind of see when that's happening too. And I find when I do inner child healing and like those meditations, as I mentioned, sometimes like certain messages come up, which I think is really cool. Like, so like it'll say, what's your inner child telling you? And sometimes it's like, you can do this, or, simple as that, or, you know, thank you for healing with me, or something like that. So, like, I highly recommend, inner child work, and I hope that, people don't see it. Like, I don't know, I can't speak for other people, right? Like, I love it and I think it's amazing, but other people may be like, what's inner child work? Like, what am I doing, right? But
But
it's just such a powerful way to kind of heal from, like, again, old traumas or just things that have happened in your life, because that inner child is just so innocent, right? So,
Mhm.
and so pure. So it just kind of brings a new perspective, like, as you said, mentioned earlier, to things.
Yeah. And I think like the inner critique, like it's, I think it's human nature to want to protect ourselves. Like whenever
Yeah.
we think about doing something different or start like a new hobby or launch a new business, like our brain, like the physiology of us, like it's, oh my gosh, like this sounds scary because I don't know how to do this. And so it's going to ultimately want to protect you and tell you like you're not ready. You can't do this. Like this is scary. This is new. But I think we have to realize that we're not like our thoughts, first of all, and we can do anything that we want. Like I always say this, like if something comes to you in your mind, like if you get this like random thought, this idea, this, feeling of wanting to do something, it would not come to you if it was not meant for you, is what I truly strongly believe. So if it comes in your mind or in your heart, it's because somewhere, sometime it is yours. And so it's like you just gotta take action. Like 1, 2, 3, go. Like nobody has it figured out. Like even you and I, like we were just talking before the podcast, and you were saying about your mic that was making this different noise, whatever. And we're like thinking of people that has been in the industry for maybe 20 years,
Yeah.
and we listen to their podcast and it's like perfect, but it's like of course it is, but go back 20 years ago and look at their first episode. I
Yeah.
promise you it's going to be completely different.
Yeah.
um and so often like we think that we should have the confidence before taking action, but it's
Yeah.
the complete opposite. It's like, do it scared, do it questioning yourself, and then confidence will show up. Like that's
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that because I have done that sometimes and just jumped in. Like I had an idea. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why can't I do that all the time for stuff? I let that fear kind of,
Take
but
over.
it's take over. But I when I do it the other way, it feels so like liberating. It's like
Yeah.
exciting, and I don't think about, oh, this isn't, what if this doesn't work? I'm just like, well, I'll fix it. Like I'll learn as I go, right? And I'm just like, why can't I? And yeah, like we were talking earlier when I was doing some other videos, like I was nitpicking and be like, oh, this isn't gonna work, this is gonna work. So I had to
Yeah.
say, Meg, it's okay. Do your best,
Right.
and you'll learn to do it better later on, right? So
Mm.
yeah, it's I every time, even the last time we did an episode, I always feel really inspired after, or I get
Good.
emotional because I felt myself getting emotional. And I'm like, I really like, that. And I mean, I knew that before, but the concept of that inner child just really holding that purest form of joy in our life, or what we want out of life. I'm gonna start crying now. And so it just kind of helps bring that perspective back, right? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to start crying, but
Oh, you
um
can. You can.
because yeah, it's just been hard changing everything and doing what I've been working on the past few weeks, and
Mm.
but I enjoy it so much. So it's kind of nice to kind of say, okay, well, that this is what I truly want to be doing, So
Yeah.
kind of embrace the joy of it, and let go of all the worries about it, because like I got so many, we worry about so many things, like just in general. So
Yeah.
those worries and stressors start to kind of sometimes take over, and I have to say, okay, stop. Like, focus on the excitement of it, focus on
Yeah.
the joy that you get from it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yes, you may not know how something's going to turn out, but you can always, like, in my mind, I was thinking, okay, let's get it done. I can always edit or fix something later as
Yeah.
long as it's there. Like, that's where my
Yeah.
mind was trying to say, okay, just get it done. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, just, I really like that. And I think that's something I'm going to just try to hold on to, you know, um, right now, is okay, that inner child just knows that pure joy and wants to do those things, and we can do anything we want. We just have to kind of keep that focus in our mind and not let those worries and stressors kind of keep like keep us from doing them, right? And going after them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's like I mentioned earlier, like when you become an adult and you have so many responsibilities, it's like you think that you need to be so serious, like
Mhm.
everything needs to be so organized, extremely, serious, and it's almost like we
Yeah.
forget that we can still have some fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's like have a food throwing party in the kitchen, like, paint, just let it go like for a little. I think we're so like stuck in our own ways and
Yeah.
wanting everything to be so perfect all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, schedule like an hour of being silly, like
Yeah.
go run outside when it's raining, like, the things
Yeah.
that we used to do as kids. And I think for me, having a kid was the fastest and quickest way for me to kind of get back to that, because she's like running in puddles of water, and she's asking me to go with her, and I would never do that normally as an adult,
Yeah.
but she's kind of forcing me to get back to that stuff and just being like carefree, and it's really nice. It's really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I agree. I I tap into that inner child a lot sometimes and do those fun things. And I think
Yeah.
that's important too for as adults to, have fun.
It's
Be a
true.
kid
Yeah.
once in a while and just kind of,
Yeah.
you know, push those responsibilities aside for a
Exactly.
little bit
The
and
load
kind
of
of,
laundry is still going to be there for
yes,
tomorrow, right? So it's like,
exactly.
go have some fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are at our time. Um, and thank you. Like, I feel like you helped me keep on track today too, because I felt a little off today and I was like, okay, I gotta try to focus. Um, but yeah, thank you
No
for
problem.
helping me
Of
with
course.
that. And but yeah, thank you for coming on again for this episode. And thank you to everyone who tunes into this episode. I hope that everyone learns to kind of tap into their inner child, explore that, and yeah, just live your best life. And yeah, I don't know if you have anything else for us for this episode, or if you have anything that you'd like to promote, you can do that now.
Sure. I'm just gonna say quickly, like if you're listening to this and you're like trying to think of what is it that I love, maybe you're like feeling a blank and you're like, I don't even know what I love anymore. If you really can't think of anything and your parents are still alive, like go ask them, like, what was I naturally gravitating towards when I was a kid? And that's gonna be like the best clue and the best thing that you can do to just start connecting again with that inner child. In terms of promoting anything, well, we have a summer challenge that we are launching on July 1st. It's going to be like think of it as like a survival mode friendly health wellness challenge that we're
Okay.
launching for the summer just to keep us accountable, move our bodies, eat well, do things that make us feel good.
Mhm.
And on November 7th, we have Unleashed and Unapologetic. It's a girls event, a women's event that we're hosting. We're going to have vendors. We have a guest speaker that we're flying in from Toronto, and
Okay.
it's going to be absolutely great. We're going to be announcing it officially soon in the next month or so. But stay tuned for that. That's coming to Moncton.
Awesome. Awesome. Well,
Yay.
thank you for sharing that. And again, thank you for
Cool.
being on today's episode. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. And until next time.
Bye.